The St. Louis Cardinals have been the staple of what a good baseball organization looked like for the past 23 years. Since 2000, the Cardinals haven't had a losing season and have only missed the playoffs 7 times. For reference, the Cardinals have made at least the NLCS 8 times in that same span. The Cardinals also made the World Series 4 times in that span, winning 2 of them, and if it wasn't for the Red Sox, they could have gone 4 for 4. They've also taken the NL Central crown 11 times in 23 years. The manager for the Cardinals, Tony La Russa, had built a well-oiled machine and built a core that would last ages for the Cardinals that featured names like Albert Pujols, Yadier Molina, Adam Wainwright, Matt Holliday, Scott Rowland, Jim Edmonds, and Chris Carpenter. They had great moments during this tenure, from David Freese sending us to tomorrow night to Wainwright pitching the final strike of the 2006 NLCS to Yadier Molina a half inning after Molina hit a 2-run homer to give them the lead. After Tony La Russa and Albert Pujols departed the team in 2011 following the World Series win, the team wouldn't be the same as before, as we haven't seen a World Series appearance yet, but this team still emulated what some would say was one of the best ran teams in baseball. They still continue to win with new manager Mike Matheny until 2017, where Matheny had the worst season since 2000 for the Cardinals, posting 83 wins and 79 losses, and missing out on the playoffs by 9 games. This is when many called for his firing, but under the radar, general manager John Mozeliak was named the president of baseball operations on June 30th, 2017, which was the first person to ever be named to that role in the history of the franchise. His first move would come 23 days later, when he would trade Marco Gonzalez to the Mariners for Tyler O'Neill. This move is pretty mediocre since both players are around 9 WAR players, with O'Neill having the slight advantage at 9.3 R-WAR, and he did have a great 2021 season posting 6.1 WAR, which led the team that year. He would then make a trade sending Aledmys Diaz to Toronto for J.B. Woodman, which was a bad trade since Aledmys Diaz is still in the league and J.B. Woodman has been out of baseball since 2018, but we'll move past that as he would make his first blockbuster deal, sending little-known pitchers Sandy Alcantara, Zach Gallen, and Magneuris Sierra for Marcell Ozuna. Grabbing a great outfield bat for some underestablished pitchers, what could go wrong? This is what John thought to himself as he watched Ozuna underperform for the Cardinals, posting only 4.7 R-WAR in 2 seasons with the Cardinals and then leaving in free agency in 2020. That would only be a small loss for the Cardinals as long as these pitchers they gave up don't become anything too special. And then Sandy Alcantara turned into the 2022 NL Cy Young, and Zach Gallen has a big shot to become the 2023 NL Cy Young. Moving past that, the following December in 2018, Mozeliak would make a way better trade than the previous December as he added the 2022 NL MVP and one of the best players in the past 12 seasons in Paul Goldschmidt. Goldie has been worth 61 R-WAR since coming into the league, with 21.2 of those coming since joining the Cardinals in 2019. This turned out to be a really good trade, so I give John a star for this one, but I will be immediately taking that star back since in January 2019, Mozeliak would send Randy Arozarena to the Rays for Matthew Liberatore. Arozarena has posted 10.5 R-WAR since leaving the Cardinals in 2019, while Liberatore has failed to establish himself in the big league so far in his career. But hey, at least we saw the Cardinals make their way to the NLCS in 2019, but they ran into the red-hot Nationals and got swept. Now give that man John Mozeliak his star back, because following the NL wildcard loss to the Padres in 2020, Mozeliak would make, in my opinion, his best trade by sending a bunch of prospects who have basically turned into nothing for Nolan Arenado. Well, the Rockies literally paid $51 million not to have Arenado on their team. It's one of the biggest fleeces of all time in all of sports, and definitely the biggest one I've ever seen in baseball. How could the Cardinals not be seen as favorites in the NL and top favorites to claim the NL Central crown? Well, that's due to the pitching staff, because after the Jack Flaherty injury came out, the staff was highlighted by an Adam Wainwright who was 39 years old, but he did have a great season, posting a 3.05 ERA and 206 in third innings, but this staff just simply wasn't good enough. The Cardinals weren't even supposed to make the playoffs, as they had a 1.3% chance to make the playoffs on August 8th, but of course they would go on a historical win streak as they won 17 games in a row and clinched the second wildcard spot, but Chris Taylor then put the Cardinals season into the ground in one swing and might have ended Alex Reyes' career in the process while getting Mike Shildt fired. But they would learn their lesson and get some big pitching acquisitions in the offseason to match with this juggernaut of an offense, right? Right? Well, all they did was give Steven Matz a $40 million contract, who did have a 3.82 ERA in 2021, but what did he do in a Cardinals jersey? Regress. He only started 10 games and posted a 5.25 ERA in 2022. They would make 2 good trades at the deadline in 2022, though, bringing in Jordan Montgomery and Jose Quintana, but I'm gonna be honest, last year's deadline still leaves a sour taste in my mouth, because I still think if there was any deal that could have been made for Juan Soto that didn't include Jordan Walker in it, I think they should have pulled the trigger on it. But of course, I wasn't the one negotiating with them, so I have no clue what the Nationals wanted, but I just wish Juan Soto would have became a St. Louis Cardinal. Despite my ambitions, the Cardinals would skip out on the Soto sweepstakes, and they would finish the season strong and find themselves winning the division with 93 wins, but they would then get beat by the eventual pennant-winning Philadelphia Phillies. Going into the offseason, the Cardinals would fill a spot in the field by bringing in Wilson Contreras to be the catcher, following up the retirement of Yadier Molina. Once again, not a single pitching move, as they would push all their chips in on 41-year-old Adam Wainwright to be this team's ace once again. Now, I don't want to rag on Waino because he's given his all to this team in his career, and I know the fans have been all over him, and he's disappointed in even his own performance, but I'm not going to put the blame on him as I think he's being put in an awful situation, but I digress. We also saw huge changes in the coaching staff as they would lose hitting coach Jeff Albert, pitching coach Mike Maddox, bench coach Buck Schumacher, and bullpen coach Brian Eversgerd. All these moves in the coaching staff couldn't have been good for the team, and is something that I blame for the huge disappointment of a season, as this is essentially a whole new coaching staff besides manager Ollie Marmol. Well, I'm going to say it, should not be blamed for this season as much as he does, as he has not been given the tools for this team to succeed, and he's working with all these new coaches, which is why I don't think fans should rag on him as much as I see, but once again, I will digress. The product on the field just isn't what fans expect from St. Louis, and it's beginning to make the Cardinals the kings of neglect, as they have an above-average offense in almost every offensive category, while their pitching is well below average in every stat, as the defense has regressed with fielders like Brendan Donovan, Jordan Walker, and Nolan Gorman in the field, posting below 10 percentile outs above average. I understand teams make mistakes, but it's hard not to sit here and watch the players the Cardinals had and could have had not play for this team and excel elsewhere. They have also made themselves the kings of neglect by neglecting this pitching staff season in and season out, and never making the moves they need to make, and never bringing in long-term resolutions for this pitching staff. With that being said, I'm going to end the video here. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.